I just made a few notes because when I first met Jason Strader, it was 24 years ago. And the reason I had an interest in him was because he was dating one of my players, his wife Jane. So I needed to know a little bit about this young man. And when I try to describe him, I try to do it in 3 words. Character. He demonstrates character. He's competitive. And he's a champion for kids. And I can't think of anybody better to lead our program than him. It's been, like I said, 24 years since I first was introduced to him. I still use those 3 adjectives to describe him, and I am so excited about what he's going to do for our program and what he's going to do for you all as players and parents. I'm just really excited that he's going to be able to instill those same qualities into you all that I witnessed in him. And so you all aren't here to hear me. With that said, it is my honor and my pleasure to introduce the Russell head boys basketball coach, Mr. Jason Strader.
I haven't been nervous to speak in front of a group of people in an awfully long time. Because if you know me, talking is not a problem. Okay? Communicating is not a problem. Okay? Thank you so much for coming out here today. I am humbled by the opportunity. I want to thank Mrs. Chafin, Mr. Horn, Mr. Sparks for giving me the opportunity. And I want you guys to know I understand the responsibility that is at my doorstep when it comes to our basketball program. I want you to understand, I know how important this hire is, okay? I know where we currently stand, and I know where the administration and myself and our kids want to go. I'd like to thank the Site-Based Council, Board of Education, again, for putting that confidence in me. I got a chance to speak to my mentor on Saturday for a little bit, Jeff Hall, Fairview and Louisville grade. And I'm standing here today because probably 12 or 13 years ago, he was awfully persistent in trying to get me into coaching. He had a son, Cameron, at the time that was in grade school, and my wife and I, for the first time, relocated back to the area, and he just kept calling, he kept calling, he kept calling. And I told him no for probably 8-9 months. And, you know, eventually he said, Jason, he said, just give it a shot. And I asked him, I said, Coach, why in the world do you want me to help you coach? What is it about me? You yelled at me for 2 straight years. Heck, I didn't even think you liked me. All right? And now all of a sudden, X amount of years later, you won't stop calling my phone. You won't stop asking my wife. You need me to, you want me to help you coach. And he says, Jason, he said, I'll tell you why. He said, you're the toughest kid I've ever coached. He said, and if Cameron can learn to play the game the way you played it mentally and compete the way you compete, he said, I'll have done my job as not only a coach, but as his father. How can you say no to that? Okay? That's how I got into it. So I want to take this opportunity here. I know he is not here today. He has already wished me well, but I do want to take the opportunity to thank Jeff for getting me into this. I also want to thank Rex Cooksey down at Fairview. Awfully big influence on me, was great to me. I had no idea when Jeff invited me to coach what I was doing. None. No idea. Coach Cooksey said, you know what, that's fine, Jason, you're a blank slate. Come on with me, okay? Come on with us. We'll teach you, all right? has always been great to me. Even to this day, it doesn't matter what gym, we scout the same teams a lot of times. He'll come up, we're talking basketball. Okay? You'll find out this about me as an individual. The people that have helped me get to where I'm at, I never forget. I don't care what color uniform they put on, what color coaching jersey they have. Okay? That's the respect I have for those individuals. Scott Floyd at Raceland basically took me 5 years ago sight unseen. I was recommended to him. He gave me an opportunity to come down there. I absolutely loved it. The biggest thing Scott gave me was an opportunity to fail. And by that I mean this. He said, young man, go coach. All right? There are certain parts you've got to figure out on your own. Go coach. And he allowed me to do that. Okay? The last coach that I want to thank, Coach Buddy Biggs. Everybody's aware of the situation that transpired this week at Ashland. I could care less. I know how great he was to me the last 3 or 4 years that I've been affiliated with the Ashland program. He had a lot of trust in me, and I would venture to say without his help over the last 3 years, without him serving as a mentor, I would not be standing before you today. Okay? I want to thank those individuals. My former players. Let's face it, parents, you don't get up here without them. Okay? That's what it's about. My dad will tell you, my mom will tell you, my wife will tell you, my in-laws will tell you. I get this part about coaching. It is about the kids. Okay? It is about the kids. Coach Adams has been with me the last year. I tell him all the time, don't I, Greg? Old Jason just not that good. But I've had some pretty good players. Okay? And I think we've got some pretty good players already established in our program here at Russell. Okay? My family, I'll get emotional when I talk about them. Only thing I can say is thank you. I've been one of those men that a lot of times I don't take the path of least resistance. But the one thing I found out in coaching, heck, I'm dragging them along with me. Probably not fair. But Jim and Ann Wiseman, my in-laws, David and Melissa Strader, they all say, saddle up, here we go. Okay? And for those of you who are coaches in this room, you understand you have no chance for success unless you have that support at home. And I've been very fortunate on both sides of my family to have it. Again, I see my father sitting there. My dad is not an emotional person. Okay? He's always been behind me. He's always been one of my biggest supporters. But as you guys will find out in the coming years, over here, when I mess up, there's usually one guy waiting for me at the door. I'm just telling you, okay? If I've done something wrong, if I've addressed a kid in a manner in which he does not like, Mr. Horn, you don't have to worry about it. Okay? Those two individuals right there are the first to let me know. Now, when I act like I want to ignore him and slide out the back door, normally about 8:05, he's sitting at the credit union, waiting on me, making sure that he addresses it. And I appreciate that. My two sons, Jalen and LeBryant, those are my two assistant coaches there. I've got one that's 4, one that's 8. Again, I'm always very clear. If LeBryant would have said, Dad, I don't want to share you. Okay? If he would have said that, I would not be here today. Okay? But that's the type of kid he is. All right? He understands what I love to do. It's either that part or he has just as much fun in the gym as I do. Okay? So I thank him and I thank Jalen. My wife. There are no words to describe the support that she has given me over the years. It helps that she is also a basketball junkie. All right? It helps that she loves competition. Okay? But we've always been family first, and basketball is a family activity for us. It's what we love to do. Okay? And again, if my mom and dad don't get me, she's waiting at the door at the house. All right? So trust me, parents, your kids will be protected. Okay? I've had many the following day at practice where I've had to go tell a young man, I'm sorry. Dad got on me today. I was wrong last night. All right? And I'm man enough to do that. Okay? Greg will tell you. And Greg will ask me, Coach, I don't think you're too hard on him. Jane said I was. All right? I answer to a boss just like everybody else. Okay? I don't tell her enough, but thank you for everything that you've done for me. She is my life, her and those two boys, and I can't think of anybody else. She told me and believed in me long before I believed in myself that I would be standing here today. And as a matter of fact, she probably doesn't remember it. She's giving a speech at her residency graduation, carrying that one right there, Jalen. And I'll never forget the words. They're asking them, tell us about your future plans. Where are you headed? Where are you going? And I remember sitting in that hotel ballroom, and she said, you know what? We have to get back to Kentucky. My husband has missed coaching. All right? She's finishing her residency. She's probably 8.5 months pregnant. And the only thing on her mind was her husband's happiness. Okay? All right? Our players. You guys already had to put up with me for an hour last week. Probably unfair today, isn't it? It will be hard. Okay? I'm very honest as a coach. It will be hard. But this is what I promise you. We will get there if we stick together. Okay? We will get there if we stick together. I'm an old point guard, and Mr. Horn knows this. It's never about I or me. It's about we, us, team. That's what it's about. Parents, administrators, same thing. These young men need you over there in that gym. They need you over there in that gym. Okay? Now, we're going to put a product on the floor that is worth, how much you guys charge, Mr. Chapin? $5? Okay. I've always said this as a coach. I've always said this as a coach. I respect people that have to work. I respect the blue-collar nature that I come from. And I've always said this. If you have to put down $3, $4, or $5 at the entryway into the gym, we are going to entertain you. Okay? I don't guarantee wins. I don't guarantee wins. But I guarantee you this. When Raceland gets off the bus over there, okay, and they step in the gym, we'll be in diamond press or 50 back 5, and we'll be on somebody. Okay? I can guarantee you when Ryan Stumper, Tanner Miller gets a rebound, Bobby Hill will catch an outlet pass, sprinting up the middle of the floor, and we're going to go look to score the basketball. Okay? That's the way I love to play. It's what I love to coach. But most importantly, it's what I think kids love to do. I've never asked a kid this, or he's never told me no when I asked him. Ethan Raby, where you at? You like to score the basketball? Jax, you and I have already been on the same page Friday. Huh? You've already told me what you like to do, young man. Correct? Okay. All right. Tanner, same thing?
Yes, sir.
I do too. Coach Adams knows. I've got to say, I've got the attention span of a 4 or 5-year-old, which means this. You get past the 4, 5, 6 pass mark, I can't tell you I'll be paying attention over there. Okay? Now, yes, will we get better in the months of January and February and as we move into March and we go down to play at Moorhead? Because here's the thing. Even though I love to play fast, and I do, I also understand this. You get down to Moorhead State, you better be able to execute something if you want to win and beat good teams. Okay? You better be able to execute something. If you watch any of our teams on the middle school level this year, 7th grade. Okay? Joe Bryan's back there. We play pretty fast, don't we, Joe?
Yes, sir.
All right? Tanner's had to deal with me, goodness gracious, what, last 3 years? Hey, Tanner, why don't you just tell him, though, I think it'll be a lot more fun playing for me than when I'm throwing those guys at you. Okay? I think he'll have a lot more fun doing that. Okay? Our success this year on the 7th grade level, especially when we went down to the state level, I know what everybody associates with me and with my teams. They rip, they run, they pressure. All right? The thing that I was most proud of, and my dad will tell you right there, and Greg traveled with me, when we needed to execute something against South Laurel, we got what we wanted, didn't we, Greg?
Yes, sir.
When we needed to slow Tate's Creek down at 8:30, Dad, and get the ball to whoever we need to get the ball to, we were able to do it. Okay? I understand, yes, we're going to play fast. But if we want to go to Rupp Arena, we also have to be willing to execute. Let me talk about my expectations. I was very upfront with the administrators here at Russell. I have high expectations for myself. I have high expectations for our kids. And I will not lower those expectations. Okay? I wrote down 3 things when speaking with Mrs. Chafin, Mr. Horn, Mr. Sparks. EKC champions. 63rd District champions. 16th Region champions. Now, do you win it every year? No. Very competitive region. But here's where I want our kids thinking. This is Russell. Okay? Let me be clear when I say this. You're not bringing in a guy who's not familiar with the tradition basketball-wise at this school. Okay? You're talking to a late 80s kid who had to go down there and watch Coach Meredith when he had that 1-3-1. And little point guards like me were out there on the floor thinking, oh my goodness, what have I gotten myself into? I understand the tradition that we have. We have to raise the expectations back up to our program. That wasn't lip service in the ADI last week when I said it's a top 5 job. Who's better than us academically? No one. I read the paper today. Okay? No one. Russell's always had good athletes. Always. Played in the Final Four this year in football, didn't it? I'm a no excuse coach. We've got kids that are good enough at our school to be competitive year in and year out when we get to Moorhead. In closing, parents, administrators, guardians, grandparents, friends of the program, I'm a tough coach. All right? I want to make sure that everybody understands that from day one. I expect a lot of my kids. Okay? But here's the thing about me. I love them to death. And we used to have a good old saying, when you're in the foxhole with me, with old Coach Strader, all right, I've got a saying. I can talk about my kids and get on them, but no one else can. Okay? And I'm honest about that. I'm serious. All right? I can talk about my kids. I can address my kids. I can get on my kids. Okay? But now, I've had situations where somebody wants to talk about another one of my kids. I'm telling you from the get-go on day one, don't go there. All right? This is a family. That's the way I'm going to run the program, from the primary school to the high school. This is the Russell family. All right? Will we have disagreements? Absolutely. Will you boo me over there in the gym? You better. All right? Because I haven't coached a perfect game yet. Okay? I expect that. Talk about me, throw things at me, boo me all you want. But if a young man has Russell Red Devil on his jersey, I expect him to be cheered. And you pick him up. I don't care if it's your kid or your grandkid. All right? Let's get it straight. This is Russell. All right? We are under one umbrella. One. Red Devil Nation. That's the way I'll address it going forward. Okay? Now, I've spoken long enough. I will be more than glad to take any questions. No brewer here today, Tanner, so nobody to bail you out. Oh, who said that? What's your name, sir? John. Okay, John. Hey, John. I have a list of schools already submitted to me by my wife that I have been instructed we are not allowed to lose to. Let me ask you this, John. Do you think Ashland was on there? Okay. Hey, here's the thing. I'm the dummy in this marriage, Don. She's the smart one. Okay? All right? Okay. Hey, John, here's what I'll tell you. By George, I'll coach as hard as I can possibly coach, and our kids will play as hard as we can possibly play. Is that a deal?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anybody else? Just any people, and I'm going to get out this level today. Huh? Good shape.
We've got cake and chips and drinks back there. You're welcome to help yourself.
Coach Strader.
Thank you.